we have Jalea.
Jayla here.
Jayla, thank you. Okay, good. So we have most of our class here tonight. So it always the first week is always like iffy because you never know if people switch classes or what they do. Okay, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna share in your email. I'm gonna send you an email, and there's 5 different pictures in the email. You guys are gonna break up into groups. I'll break you into random groups. You're gonna write a story about the picture as a group. Okay. So this is a way to get to know each other. It's a way to sort of learn about each other. And then you're going to come back. We'll come back and you guys are going to share it with us as a class. Okay. The pictures are like random stuff. I just found that you're going to write a little story about what's going on in the picture. Okay. So I'm going to send that to you all through your Canvas email right now. And then we will breakout groups. I do random breakout groups a lot in class. It's so that everybody gets to know one another. So share what campus you're on, see if you guys know each other, that kind of stuff. Okay, so I'm just sending this out to you guys in Canvas. Just give me a second. I will communicate with you guys a lot via email and via announcements. So please make sure you're always checking and watching your email and announcements. That's really important in our class because things happen all the time. So we got to make sure we keep up to date on that. All right, so 5 different pictures. It's going to be um, 5 different groups, and you guys are going to write a short story about it. Okay, I'll come in and join you so you know what you're doing. But any questions on what you're doing? No. Okay, I'm just sending it. Canvas is being slow as usual, but that's okay. I'm going to send some other stuff to you guys tonight as well. We'll be working on some case studies. We'll be looking at a PowerPoint. I hope everybody saw the PowerPoint. Everything is listed, and a lot of times Professor McBride will make announcements. She makes announcements for the entire class. So for the entire, all OB. So if you see something from her, don't get confused. She just is like the lead. So she'll be the one who sends it. Okay, I'm sending it to you guys. It's a Word document. It's gonna have 5 pictures on it, and whatever group you're in is the picture you're gonna do. Okay. All right, here it comes to you guys. Come on, Canvas. Maybe it's my computer. All right. So you're gonna look at your photo. We'll randomize you guys into groups. And then you're going to write a little narrative. Okay. Has anyone done this before? No. It's called an icebreaker. It's kind of fun because you guys get to know each other. All right. It should be coming through on your canvas. Anybody see it? All right. So let's go into random groups. We're going to have 5. So every photo has a number underneath it. Group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4, group 5. You see that? Group 5 is doing the baby. Group 4 is doing the pregnant lady. Group 3 is doing I forget what it is. The first photo was group 1 and second photo is group 2. Okay, here you go.
Oh, Desiree, I see your face.
Hey guys.
Hey, we're all coming back. One group's is a little slow, I think. So we're all coming back together. All right. So I told everybody the point of that was to like get to know different perspectives. You know, being in nursing school, you'll create friendships and relationships that you probably will have the rest of your lives because no one else knows nursing school like a nursing student, right? And so I still keep in touch with people I went to nursing school with, and that was over 20 years ago. And so I really like you guys to get to know each other on an online platform. It's a little more difficult than when you're in our class because if you're in class, you're sitting next to somebody and be like, hey, blah, 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 blah. But what I want you guys to use really is your resources in this class, and that's each other. Because what you do is you learn a lot from your peers. So maybe somebody has a study technique you don't use. Maybe somebody goes to a review session and then goes over it with you. So really use each other. You can always use me. I'm always a resource for you. But what I've learned through teaching is that it really helps to know your peers. And I've been teaching for Fortis for I just figured this out the other day, 5 years, I think. So I've been teaching here a long time. It's always been an online platform, so I know it's difficult. But I like to do little activities like this with you guys so you get to know like hey, this is how I think, this is how she thinks. And then you're gonna have to work in an industry where you're gonna have to get along with people. So that's like the number one thing, right? And nowadays, if you haven't seen it yet, you'll see it as we get into further into nursing. Nursing has become customer service based. So you really have to cater to your patients. Okay. So in learning about each other as classmates, we're learning about different personality stuff. All right. Group one is going to be so kind to share first, and we're going to look at their photo. Here's their photo. Oopsie. Okay, there we go. There's their photo. Group one, tell us your little story about this lady who looks like she's walking down the street having a good old time.
So we came up with a narrative. It says after receiving great news, Jennifer seemed to be happier and carefree. She has just finished nursing school and now she has no idea what to do with her time. Most days she wake up Most days she wakes up and goes for a walk since she finally can breathe. School has taken every piece of energy that she has. So moderate so moderate exercises are now being considered.
Amazing. I love that story. And that speaks to nursing students. And you guys wrote that. So I'm guessing you're feeling that way, right? It consumes your whole world, it consumes your whole life. You just can't wait to walk outside one day and be like, woof, I'm done. I imagine, right? All right, amazing. Very good. Creative. I love it. All right, group number, let's do 3. Only because we're skipping ahead here. Oop, that's 4. There's our group 3. We got these 2 people in blue outfits. What do we have to say about them?
I can say it. So we came up with Jason and Michelle are really good friends in nursing school. They had a quick evening break at their evening class when Jason's wife sent him a video of his brand new baby that just rolled over for the first time. And so he was sharing that happy video with his friend Michelle, and they were just happy enjoying the video and laughing.
Amazing. And I love how that group thought that they were nursing students. Now, what I want you to look at the backgrounds here, right? So I don't know what they are, but they could be working on a golf range. See back here? They could be in a hospital. They could be anywhere. So I love that focused on where am I today and how does that regulate? But I love it. A good video always makes everybody laugh, right? All right, group number 4 had this easy photo, I say, but they say no. All right, go for it, group 4.
Okay, I'll talk. So, this is Kimberly. She was pregnant. She's 9 months pregnant, and she was kind of like freaking out because she was actually 40 weeks and 2 days. So she started freaking out because she wasn't dilating yet. So she went to the hospital, and she went to her doctor's appointment, and every time that she was having contractions, her the fetal heart rate was like lowering, so they like did an emergency C-section.
Oh dear. Poor lady. That sounds like chaotic.
Yeah.
All right, and that
know.
group was good, very good, because you put a lot of OB in there. This is just the first class, so you knew a lot. Contractions when the heart rate goes down. What do we know that means usually?
Distress.
Yeah, stress on the baby. Usually it's called a cord around the neck. Their umbilical cords around the neck. So they contract and the cord goes whoop. It's kind of like a rope around their neck. So sometimes it's just normal. It depends on when it happens. So when the head gets squished when it's coming out, sometimes the heart rate goes down, right? Because they're like under a little bit of stress. All right, good. This poor lady had an emergency section though. No good. No good. We always want to prevent those if we can. How many out of this class because of this photo, well, let's see, by raise a hand. How many have been pregnant ever? So a bulk of us. We only have one boy in the class. Mercy, I need your camera on. So could have been if he was a surrogate, but he hasn't been. But out of that, and I'm sure every single one of us has a story about pregnancy, right? Like that's a given. If you've been pregnant, there's always something to it. So just remember that when we're looking at our patients, anything could be going on in their lives. Could be a happy time, could be a sad time, could be a crazy time, could be anything. They could be in nursing school. I've had many pregnant students. All right. Let's look at not our last photo. We're gonna go back to group number 2. Come on. And they had this photo. They were laughing at it when I joined them.
Okay, so we actually named him Alex. We said Alex is an average early 2000s teenager who enjoys dyeing his hair and going to raves with his friends. Sometimes he would even sneak out of the house and risk it all for good times. Alex decided to dye his hair because he likes to express himself through music and clothing. He even decided to get a tattoo after attending his first concert. This showed his passion for music.
Excellent. And he looks like he's got his sunglasses on. He's either sleepy, doing some sort of activities that need to cover your eyes, or it kind of looks like he's a little spacey, but I like the way you guys saw the positive in this guy, and his tattoo is a microphone. So good. So he's like a music guy. 90s maybe, 2000s maybe, who knows, right? But I thought that was a funny photo, right? He dyed his hair. You got to wonder, looking at his hair, what his original color was. All right, good story there. And then our last one was this crazy baby.
Okay, I'll
And
do the baby.
go ahead.
So we named the baby Stewie. We said that Stewie is not a regular baby, but he's a cool baby. Stewie wakes up every day and has his fresh organic breast milk waiting for him. Today, Stewie was in for a surprise when he realized he got a bottle of formula instead. That's Stewie.
That's great. That is a great, great, great story for that one. That one, I was telling this group, they said they didn't have kids, and I said, that's a face. If you're a mom, you'll know that face. They're like, what? This is not fair, right? They're protesting. Good, Stewie. Excellent. I love the stories that you guys came up with. We're going to be dealing with not Stewie age, but newborn in this class. So we'll be getting to know different reactions that are normal or reactions that we should anticipate and those that we shouldn't, right? All right, so we're going to stop sharing there. I have a PowerPoint that we're going to go over. It's the orientation PowerPoint. Who's gone over this in another class? Yeah, I know. It's boring. Sorry. So we all have the same PowerPoint. We have to present it. Dr. Brown creates it. So we all, how we do this. So it's going to be orientation. We'll go through it. Then I'm going to go through with you some resources. But the first thing we have to deal with is usually classes are not this long. When I've taught previously, they're usually an hour and 40 minutes. This class is 2.5 hours. So I propose this now because it's something we need to get out of the way. Do we want to take a break halfway through, or do we want to truck through and then potentially get done early? So let's take a vote. We want to truck through. I'll be giving you breaks like you just had, where you'll be in breakout rooms. So it's not going to be lecturing for 2.5 hours. I don't lecture much at all, actually. So if you want to go the whole way and then just get out early because we're due to be done at 6. So we'll get out probably around 5:45, which is 7:45 your time. All right, so raise your hand if you want that. Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 6. Okay, so majority 14. All right, so that's what we'll do. Okay, so just anticipate that we'll be in class until like I'll try to get you guys out. You'll be out early, definitely, but that'll be our break at the end. Okay, so if you have to go to the bathroom, feel free, get up and go to the bathroom. Just don't go to the bathroom for 6 hours. You know what I'm saying? Actually, 30 minutes. I've had students get up and go to the bathroom for 30 minutes. If you have a stomach issue, no problem, but just communicate, okay? Just go to the bathroom, go get your stuff, get something to eat, get something to drink. I'm fine with that, okay? We're gonna go over the PowerPoint. It'll go over some like, nonsense rules that we have to go over. Very boring first start of the class. I know that. So let's just bear with it. We're gonna get through it pretty quickly. I'm gonna share the PowerPoint with you. It is on your hold on, let me stop sharing this one. It is on your resources. So we're going to go through those tonight too, because you guys have so many resources. You're very, very fortunate. Where's my PowerPoint? I wanted it open. Oh, that's why. Hold on. All right. So welcome to online nursing. Like we talked about, some really good benefits of being online. And I'm glad to be able to offer that opportunity to you guys because sometimes you wouldn't be able to go in person, right? Everybody works. So the first slide we look at, let's do it as a slideshow. The first slide we look at says, welcome to online nursing. And then it says, what is online learning? I don't really want to go through that with you, but what it really means is you have to have a computer, you have to have an internet. You will have me as the instructor, and you're going to have weekly assignments. You'll have activities, quizzes, and exams. Okay? And you get to meet people from all over, which is very nice. Oh, I forgot that. We're going to stop for a second. Let's go over our campuses. Desiree, what campus are you on?
It's Cutler
She's
Bay
muted.
in Homestead.
Cutler Bay. Raise your hand if you're on Desiree's campus at Cutler Bay. All right, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you guys are lucky you're in Florida. Is it warm? It's always warm, right? All right. Kayla, what's your campus?
Columbia, South Carolina.
Oh, I haven't had South Carolina before. Very interesting. You guys are hot and warm too, sort of ish. Right? Humid. All right, who's in South Carolina? Oh, whoa. That's a lot. Okay, and then what other campus do we have? That's almost everybody. Who didn't I call on that has a different campus? Madeline, what campus are you?
Pensacola.
Pensacola, Florida. Anybody in Pensacola? Oh, good. You got one loner with you, right? You two are from Pensacola. Not that she's a loner. I meant that she's one lone person all by herself. All right. So good. So those are our main campuses, right? Any other campuses? So we got Florida and South Carolina. And that's it, right? Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm in Colorado, like I said, so I'm Mountain Standard Time. You guys are all Eastern Time. Just know that everything, if I say a time and it makes no sense, I told you this before, but I repeat myself, it's Mountain Time. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at our PowerPoint again. All right, so when you're online, I am always your first contact. Everybody knows the rule of the game that there's people above me and people below me because that's like in any business, right? But your best bet is to always come to me. So you're going to find my information on Canvas. I put my cell phone on there, my email on there. I am happy to get a text message from anybody. Just remember, I'm 2 hours behind you. So if you send me one at 7 o'clock in the morning, that's 5 o'clock my time, you're not going to get an answer. But throughout the day, I'm happy to, I always have my phone on me. And you as nurses may or may not experience that, but I always have to have it at all times in case somebody needs me. So if it's urgent, and like you need to know like in the next day, you can always text me. If you like kind of want to know but it's not that important, email me and I'll email you back. Just know that we get a ton of emails at Fortis, like probably 50 or 60 a day. So easier if it's urgent to text me, okay? Course lead for this class we know is Professor McBride. She will be putting out there announcements, posts, all that kind of stuff. And everyone knows Dr. Brown. She will join our class occasionally. When she joins us, just keep on going. We'll do our normal thing. But she does like to check in on classes. And when she's in, we always welcome her, make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to do, which we all will. So good to go. All right. So any issues you're going to see, I'm not going to go over this because I'll show you on Canvas when we do our resources. But anyway, you're always going to contact me first. What I will tell you is that if Dr. Brown gets contacted and she doesn't know what's going on, she just comes right back to the professor. So it's just easier to contact me first if there's some concern, and then I'll usually involve her if I need to. But if we can resolve it, then usually we resolve it ourselves. Okay. So I just like to go over etiquette online. You guys seem to be a very quiet class initially, so we'll see. I hope you guys talk a lot more. But just when you do, I like it to be very interactive. I don't like you to sit there and have me lecture. I know I get bored listening to someone, and I know that you'll get very annoyed by my voice after a while. So try to participate, try to be involved. That's all we could ask. When you're getting involved, though, you want to be courteous, like no cursing. Don't worry about messages in caps. I don't really care too much about that. Just proper language and titles and things like that. You can call me a professor is fine, or whatever you want to call me. Doesn't bother me. All right, online course, we have specific start and end times. We do know we have to be on camera. You guys have to be on camera at 3:30, 5:30 your time every day for full attendance. Okay, so you can't log on at 3:35. You can't log on 5:35. You can't log on. Hold on, it looks like my thingy wants me to plug in. Hold on one second. Sorry about that, guys. The Zoom just kind of blunked out on me. All right, anyway, we're going on about start and end time. So start time is always going to be 5:30. End time is always going to be, like we said, probably like 5:45, which is like 7:45 your time. So just remember that. If you have any reasons why you can't be in class, your best bet is to reach out to me and let me know. I mean, it is an expectation that you're here every week, but things come up, right? We know that life happens. So, so don't worry about that. Let me just, I'm trying to get back on the computer here. So just let me know if anything comes up and we can work it out. We're going to do attendance policy on PowerPoint in just 1 second. Let me just get us back on Zoom here properly. All right. Any questions about attendance before we go forward with this? It's very important. Attendance will be taken. It's calculated on Excel, and then we send that to Dr. Brown. So she watches who's in attendance, and so just make sure that you're here when you're supposed to be. Okay, let me just do something. All right. See, we're getting a little break here without you even knowing it, right? Okay, here we are. All right. All right. We're back again. Okay. So let's look at our PowerPoint again. We were doing. Where did it go? Attendance and what else do we need? All right, so discussion boards, we're gonna go over this. Discussion boards, you will have some. Just know that they're gonna be due, everybody should be familiar with this. They're due on Wednesdays, the discussion post, and then responses by Sundays, but we'll go over that as we get closer to doing those activities. Due dates are on your syllabus. Due dates are on the calendar on Canvas, so please refer to that when you're looking for what's due. We talk about academic integrity. I'm not going to go too much into this. You guys know what you should be doing. You're in nursing school, you know not to cheat, you know not to plagiarize, you know not to do anything like that. AI is a big piece of our class nowadays, so we need to talk about our AI policy. All right, so you are not going to be using AI for any of your writing. So we have a website that checks for AI that all of your writing samples will go through. So please make sure that you don't use AI because really nowadays it's amazing almost that colleges still require written papers, right? Because everybody could go online and do an AI written paper. But the truth of the matter is the reason that we do them is to use your brain and let you guys create them. And so we will not have any AI. And note takers from AI, we're not going to use that either. We just don't do that. If you're going to use AI at all, which I'm telling you, just don't even bother. It's not worth it. But you just have to tell us that you're using it. Okay. So just be really careful. There's a website. Everybody knows about it. You can check for AI. Just don't do it. It's just easier. All right, code of ethics. We shouldn't have to really talk too much about this. You guys are in nursing school. You know what the ethical situations are, obligations and duties. You know, we know that. So we're not even going to go into that. Sites that promote cheating. I will tell you that we get notification from StockDoc, Course Hero, and Course Hero that tell us who's on there. So best case scenario, don't use them because if Dr. Brown gets wind of that, you'll be taken off the program. So just don't use those. Those are the ones where you can go on and like look at a test or a quiz or something. All right, our late acceptance, here it goes. 1 to 7 days after due date, you get a 10% deduction, and 8 or more due days late, 0%. So you have to get it in on time. Late work will not be accepted unless it's approved by me. We talked about attendance. Sign in with full names, be on the camera the whole time. Anyone at work or driving will be removed, and anyone not coming on camera after being asked to will be removed. So we have to make sure that we have posting of attendance. Anybody not present for 2 weeks in a row is dropped from the class. So just don't miss 2 classes. Their attendance is taken in 15-minute increments. So just remember that. And if you're late 20% of the time, that you'll get a grade deduction, but let's just not even talk about that because hopefully everybody will be on time. That's the best thing you can do. To review for 7 steps to success, make sure you're reviewing your work each week. Make sure you're preparing for class, attending live sessions, doing all assignments, and going study sessions. We'll have study sessions for you guys. Log into class about 4 to 5 times a week. I already talked to you guys about email and announcements. Please make sure you're checking those throughout the week. They will update throughout the week. So please make sure that they are up, you are watching them. Do not procrastinate. And all right, let's look here. We'll go through this tonight. We'll do other activities. All right, so students that participate actively, there's tutoring, one-to-one tutoring I can offer every single week to you. Just let me know when, and I will tutor with you. And then what we've seen is students score about 20% higher on tests and quizzes if you meet with the instructor one-on-one. So just try to remember that when you're studying. Here's our grading component. I want everyone to look at this, please, and pay attention. We have 55% of our KGA, which we all know is must be 78 or above to pass the class. So we have 3 tests, 5 quizzes, 1 HESI. That makes our total for 80% of the KGA. Okay. Then we'll have some Saunders NCLEX questions. We'll have case studies. We'll have a practice exam. We'll have discussion questions. We'll have a teaching plan. Math calculations, you'll have about 3 of these. And then Zoom sessions, or like pass fail. So, all right, combined score on all units and quizzes we know must be 78 or above before we turn on homework. So week 1 to 5, you won't see any homework scores. 6, we turn them on. 8, we turn them off. Okay, for your exams and quizzes, they will all be online. You will need 2 devices for each, laptop for your exam, and a phone on the Zoom. Okay, so please make sure you have those. We'll go over that closer to the test. Your first exam is week 4. Quizzes are part of KGA and they're beginning of class. If you are not logged on at 5:30, you will not be allowed to take the quiz. Okay, and that's 5% of your KGA, so make sure you're on time, okay? Exams are scheduled through ExamSoft. We're not going to really go into that because there's a lot on exams for some reason, but exams are Zoom proctored, so we watch them with another faculty member. You have to be on camera the whole time. We're going to look at your whole testing area. You can't be in a room with somebody else, all the normal stuff, like as if you were taking a class in a traditional classroom. Okay. Nurses' exams and test quizzes are timed. Our quizzes are 15 minutes. Our tests are 75 minutes. Oopsie. See, this is kind of boring, I know, but. All right, completing your assignments. You guys will have assignments every single week. So make sure you plan ahead, prioritize, and complete your work. We're going to look at this week. So when you look here, this is a technique that people sometimes use. They print out a calendar, and I will tell you, I do this when I'm planning the class. I print out a calendar and then I write on the dates. Okay. And that way I'm organized and planned and ready to go. Syllabus is here. This is what the syllabus looks like. And we'll look at that in a second, but that doesn't have due dates on it. All right, OB calculations. This is not a group assignment. This is a graded assignment. You were to do it by yourself. Okay, take it on your own time. It's we're going to use calculate with confidence. Do not round until the very end, and then you're going to have some practice. You have 1 this week. Okay, please don't share with other people. Saunders, your review. You know you have that. NCLEX review questions. You will have these throughout the quarter, and there's instructions on how to upload and download, so just make sure you do. And there's instructions on how to save. It's all there, so I'm not going to go through this. All right, so once submitted, the score you submit will be the score you receive. So it can be, you can repeat the questions as many times as you want. And you know what? I would keep doing them until you get like a 50 or a 49 or 48, 47. Easy way to bring your scores up, okay? Because you can do them over and over again. Use the text as your online resource. You're going to submit 50 questions. So you get 40 points, which converts to an 80. If you get, I'm sorry, you have 50 questions, 50 out of 50 is 100. Every 2 below that, you lose 2 points. So 49 is a 98, so on, so on. No bonus points. You're always going to be doing 50 questions. Case studies is new. It's called SimChart. They're patient care scenarios. They cannot be completed before they are assigned. You're going to follow the link in Canvas, and the due date has limited, so you really can't go ahead, work ahead. The reason for not working ahead on all these assignments is because it has to do with that week's knowledge, okay? Teaching plan and discussion post. You have a teaching plan coming up. I think that is this week, maybe. You're going to look at your instructions. We'll look at rubrics. We'll see how we get them done. APA is a big part of our writing. So what I come to find is APA is something that not a lot of people are used to. So when you're writing your first paper, you can submit it to me. I will grade it for APA only. And so you are going to be citing when you are writing, okay? That means you put a source after you're writing. If you don't do so, that's plagiarizing. So please make sure that you summarize key points in your own words. If you're going to take something from a source, you cite it when you write it. Okay, I'm gonna give you a resource. It's called Purdue OWL. Anyone familiar with it? No, this is a big component of nursing school is APA formatting. Why do you think we care so much in nursing school about APA format? Nobody knows. They think it's dumb. The reason we make sure you know how to do APA formatting is if you continue on in your career for anything in nursing, you will be writing using APA format. Any study you read, any paper you read is going to be APA formatted. We're going to go to Purdue OWL. We'll take a look at that. It's pretty easy. Your assignments for your HESI, we'll go through closer to the time. You have practice exams for HESI. You have an assignment exam. And we know the HESI assignments go right to the grade book. I don't have anything to do with them. They go right to the grade book, and then we will you have to do your specialty exam at the end, right? That's going to be a maternity HESI, which everybody should have taken HESIs by now. 20% of your grade. And the benchmark is a 900. That's just what you aim for. Then there's remediation that you have to do required on your score. And remediation has to be done by the Monday of week 12. It's going to be here before you guys know it. And then contact me if you have any problems. Okay. So that's our little orientation. I want everybody to go to Purdue OWL on your computers. And I'm going to pull it up to share with you. So what you do is you type in Google. I'll show you. In Google, you can just type right here, Purdue OWL, and it comes right up. Oops. So everybody should be looking at this on theirs. And it should be the first thing that comes up. It says Purdue OWL, Purdue University. Everybody see it? All right, click on that first link. And if I were you right now, I would bookmark this page because it's going to be your friend throughout this class, because what this does is it tells you how to write an APA formatting, and it actually does it for you. So if you look at your APA guide, which is right here in the tan, it will actually cite for you if you give the website, okay, and click cite. It will actually cite for you. Here it gives you the basics of Insight citations, which is what we just talked about. And so I'm going to show you on here, okay, when you are writing, okay, and say if you're directly quoting from a work, or if you're quoting for something that you read, you see how here it says according to Jones 1998. So you would say according to blah blah, and then the year in parentheses, and then you'd write in your own words. Okay, so that's how you're going to cite when you write. It's called. Here's long quotations. We're not going to talk about that because you guys are going to be paraphrasing. So what you see here is about how it'll look in all your writing. You're either going to be writing a summary, okay, or you're going to be writing something very precise and exact. If it's precise and exact, you're going to put a page number when you're writing. If it's vague and more general, you're just going to put the year and the author. Okay, so the best way to do this is if you're writing a paper, when you get to a website or a journal, you click on here. You can do a book, a journal, online video, or film, and then you just type in the title of it and it will cite it for you, so you can do that on the reference page. Okay, but just please remember you're citing when you're writing. Any questions on APA? No. I will tell you, I know that not a lot of people up till this point in nursing school use APA. So this is a big part of this class. Okay. Making sure you remember to write using that. All right, let's take a look at our course on Canvas. And the reason I'm doing that is because you guys have tons and tons and tons and tons of resources on there. And I'm going to view it as a student. So mine looks like yours. All right, here we go. All right, so here is where our announcement page is, okay? And not all this is posted for you guys, but it should be. We have one here on OB Math, videos for math. We have ebook, we have our cover sheet. Welcome, that's where you're welcoming. You should read that. And then some expectations and things like that. So all these were posted for you guys. You will have every week, you'll have resources. So for weeks 1 through 3, we put all the resources on there. So if you click on resources, this is every single thing that anybody uses. Okay, so our orientation PowerPoint is on here. Our PowerPoint of any type will be on here. Here's some flashcards that are really helpful because you're going to need to know for week 2 and 3 some terms. That's important. We have 2 games for you. We have a Kahoot game and a Jeopardy game. And we have videos, which we're going to watch one of those videos tonight. And then we have practice questions at the bottom. And these are going to help you practice with your reading, okay? Make sure you have your reading under wraps. So you always want to look at your announcements every week, okay? So you have your resources, and then you have another thing, which is going to be your instructor's material. And this is like everything we can present from any class, okay? So I usually use from another professor. If I use something unique, though, I will post it on here, okay? So this way you have access to everything you could possibly need. Any questions about the resources? All right, we're going to look at our modules for this week. Right here, oops, let's view as a student. Okay, so this is what yours looks like. Here's your book. Okay, so you want to make sure you have access to that, and it should be easy to access. You have your sim chart training, which you guys should be doing, your ebook registration syllabus course in technology. And if you have completed all of those, then you can get your weekly, your week to week. You can't get week to week here because I haven't completed them, but I don't have to, you guys do. Here's about your instructor. Here's where my phone number is. Here's where my text messages are. Here's where I went to school. Okay. Any questions on that? For this week, our assignments are, we'll look at them even though they're grayed out on my screen. Your assignments are sim chart practice, and you're going to do an introduction of yourself. Okay. Any questions on that? No? Yeah, you guys are quiet. All right, so we're going to stop sharing there. All right, so we're going to look at, I want to ask you guys, what have you guys, did you guys do any reading this week? You can be honest. No, yeah, maybe. No, okay.
I
No.
skimmed through the chapters.
Skim through chapters, good. Okay, so first chapter is about family and culture. What do you guys know about family and culture?
Culture influences a lot of decision making in someone's life.
Good, and particularly in prenatal care. Okay, so anybody come from a culture that their prenatal care beliefs are a little different than what traditional medicine is?
My kids are part Hispanic, so their father did, so we kind of had to like to do a lot of communicating back and forth.
All right, you cut out in the middle there. You said they were Hispanic, but I didn't hear the rest.
I'm sorry, my kids are half Hispanic, so we had to kind of correlate what between his beliefs and what my beliefs are. We had to kind of like correlate what we were going to do and not do.
Good, and if you don't mind me asking, if you do mind, then you don't have to answer. But what kind of beliefs did you see that like kind of contraindicated, or you had to really get used to?
So a lot of their beliefs and stuff is that they believe in natural herbs and medication. They don't believe in pain, like pain management medication. Just that by itself is just a big start off, which, you know, I had a lot of complications with my oldest daughter, so we had to keep going back and forth because I was like, I'm not going to be in a lot of pain and not be able to do nothing about it. So
good.
They also
Excellent.
like there was a lot to do with during the pregnancy, you had to eat certain things too. They believed that eating certain things was helping in development of the baby too.
Good. And so that's something that you had to sort of agree to or not agree to and alter your eating and your behaving, okay? We look at culture very uniquely and understand that that doesn't mean that we know every culture and we know certain beliefs about it, but there are things such as herbs, like Kelly spoke of, that they're going to say are healthy and that's what you need to eat, and or pain management, they'll say, oh, you don't need pain medicine, like no, like, right, those kind of things. That's cultural, and as a nurse we have to respect that. As a patient, we don't have to respect that, right? Because we can believe what we want to believe. But as nurses, and that's how I want your mindset to be, as nurses, we pretty much have to go along with what the patient says, right? What is our obligation to them? If they say something like, well, I'm not going to go to prenatal care until I'm 28 weeks because I think it's bad luck. Well, how would we respond to something like that?
Find a common ground.
Okay, how could you do that therapeutically with a patient?
Find out what, not just what their beliefs are, but what they are into doing to get them to the prenatal care. Like as far as I don't know, if they was to say they're not going because they're scared that it's going to interact with culture as far as pain, like we was talking about pain medication. Maybe we can just describe, okay, well then we'll put on there that no pain medication could be administered, but we can still get you to prenatal care so that we can just make sure the development of the baby is going well.
Good. So you definitely want to educate, right? As nurses, we always want to educate. There is a group that doesn't take blood products. Do you guys know who that is? Who doesn't take blood products?
Jehovah Witness.
Jehovah
Is it
Witness.
Jehovah's
Good, Jehovah Witness. And if you're familiar with Jehovah Witnesses, what you do know that they will take something called a cell saver. Is anybody familiar with this? So cell saver is like a blood byproduct. So it's not blood, so they don't get the transfusion, but it will give them the quantity that they need. Okay. And so they may be open to that. So even though, and in OB, you will see a lot of blood products needed because of the amount of blood flow that comes and goes, and postpartum hemorrhage is very common. They can bleed while they're pregnant, right? If anybody's had that happen, that can happen. Everything is very vascular. So when you're pregnant, and that everything in the body gets more and more and more and more blood flow, right? So the chance of bleeding is higher and higher and higher and higher. So you think about that when you're thinking about cultures. If you don't agree with something that a patient says, we don't say too bad, so sad. We don't do that. Does anyone here work in a hospital currently? Keyshawn, do you work in a hospital? Do you work in a religious-based one or no?
Oh no, I work in a step down ICU.
Yeah, but who owns the hospital?
It's not an HCA.
Yeah, so it's a general hospital. If you work in a Catholic hospital, anybody worked in a Catholic hospital before? No. So one of the things you'll see when you walk in there is they have crosses in every room. I worked in a Catholic hospital for many years. They have crosses across in every patient's room. What would happen then, we would have other cultures come in. What do you think they felt like when they came into that room and saw a cross? If they weren't Catholic or Christian?
Maybe uncomfortable.
Yeah, they probably felt like, why is this here? It was funded by the diocese, right? So a religious funding. That's why they had it. But the other thing to remember is, what can you do in that situation? If you're a nurse in a room and there's some sort of religious something up on the wall, or religious something that the patient wants up on the wall, what can you do? Natalie, I know your camera keeps going out, but I can't have you on here with not being on camera. So if you can join on your phone, maybe that'd be great. But otherwise, I have to put you in the waiting room. All right. So what would we do though in this scenario? So somebody's there, they're uncomfortable, or they want to put something up in the labor room.
Will we allow it?
Yeah. So what we used to do for like if Jewish patients came in and
Well,
they didn't
if
want to
they
be in,
want to put something up,
go ahead, Kelly.
oh no, I was just gonna say the same thing he said. We would allow them to put whatever they feel comfortable with up with limitations, because I know I think they shared like one story. One story, it was like a lady who wanted a big gigantic knife while she was delivering, because they believed that in their culture, that it would cut the pain. And so they just gave her a butter knife under her pillow.
Oh, okay. So they're accommodating. The other thing to remember is you got to put some, if you're putting some up on a wall or you're putting somewhere, some, something somewhere. Mahogany, I need you to be in one place. You can't be walking around. Okay. If you see something like that, then you can certainly put it up, but don't have it, take over the spot of something important in the room, right? Because that would be silly. All right. And so we're going to look at two terms, assimilation, right, is a term with the culture, and we're going to look at a little piece on that. The other piece of this is family, and all of you can probably speak. I'm just going to call on people randomly. Cheyenne, who's in your family, if I had to ask you that? Maybe I'm saying your name wrong. I thought it was Cheyenne. It looks like Shane.
Hers is Shanae.
Shanae. Thank you.
Sorry, it wasn't letting me click the unmute.
Nay.
Yes.
Nay. Okay, the question was, what would you say who's in your family?
What do you mean?
Just answer the question. Who's in your family? That's exactly, I love the way you asked me that, because this is exactly you're making a great point to the whole class. Go ahead, go for it.
My parents, my sisters, my niece, nephews, boyfriend.
Awesome. All right, Andrea, who's in your family?
Same parents, siblings, I guess my fiance, the dog.
Good. See, somebody thought the dog was family. Totally get it. If somebody asked me who my family was, I would say I have a husband, I have a daughter, I have 2 dogs, I have a sister, I have a father. Right? That's how I describe family. But I also have a very extended family. So I have about 50 cousins, and I have several aunts that have had 8 or 9 kids apiece. So I have an extended family, if you ask me that, right? But Kayla, who's in your family? You're muted.
My son, my husband, my dad, my brother.
Good. So everybody has a different description. And Shanae?
Shanae.
Shanae. I'll get it. Don't worry. Shanae was saying, well, what do you mean? Right? So what the whole point of that is to see that family is what you think family is. Family could be your parents. Family could be your neighbors. Family could be whoever, right? It doesn't necessarily need to be. And in today's society, we have so many different types of families. What kind of families do we know of? We have families that are what? Go through some of the types of families we have.
You mean like blended families?
Good. Tell me what a blended family is.
Like when my mom married my stepdad, I got a stepsister.
Good.
Like that.
Excellent. Blended families. What other kind of families are out there nowadays?
Friends could be family.
Absolutely.
And you have like a whole multitude family, like the mother and the father still live together with other parts.
Excellent. Yeah. You could have multi-step, right? You could have grandparents living with parents, living with kids, right? What other kind of families do we see?
You can also have LGBTQ plus families.
Absolutely. Right? You can have 2 dads, 2 moms. I mean, the choices are endless, right? So all of these type of families we have to be familiar with. And as nurses, it doesn't really matter who your patient thinks their family is. That's who they believe their family is. A lot of times we'll see in pregnancy too, what happens is the question of genetics comes up. Why do you think that might be a hard concept or hard question to ask a pregnant lady?
Like what her genetics are?
Or testing for genetics?
Maybe because of history in their family. I feel like they wouldn't get upset about that, but I could be
So-
wrong.
Some people don't have a strong support system, or some people don't really know their
Oh,
family
true.
like that to know their genetics. So that's just reminding them, of what they don't have.
Good. And it makes it to their surface. And then what if they find out they have a genetic condition, but they don't know their mom or they don't know their dad, right? Then there's a whole lot of psychological therapy that needs to be done with that, because they have to then accept that that is the case, right? I want you to think for a minute, if anyone in here is adopted, you can share, or you don't have to, but think about an adopted female, right? Two parents take her in, those are her parents. Then she goes and gets pregnant and she has genetic testing done. Well, the birth mother, had some genetic condition that she didn't even know about. So now she's got to handle the fact that, her family, what she defines as family, has nothing to do with her genetics, right? So be very sensitive about that. When we talk about that in maternal health care, just be really sensitive. If people don't want to test for X, Y, and Z, we will go through all the testing that they do. And there's so much out there now, which is great because people are way more prepared, but it also impacts family dynamics. Okay. And I don't know about Kelly's relationship with a different culture, like she was saying, but it is very possible that they'll think you should not have any testing done. And you, as the pregnant mother, thinks you should have the testing done, right? Because they say it's God's will. We do what we do. And that's it, right? She's shaking her head. So I know she's had that experience. So you just have to be prepared for that, right? Like, I mean, that is what it is. And if that's what the patient is dealing with, our role as a nurse is to do what? Tell them, oh, poor you, I'm really sorry you're going through this? Or what's our role as a nurse?
You can advocate for her.
Excellent. You're going to teach her. You're going to advocate. You're going to say, this is what we recommend.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Good. Excellent. All right. Let's look a little bit at the PowerPoint. We have some case studies that are like multicultural, and I pulled them together tonight for you guys because I thought that'd be kind of, how fun can nursing school be? But a little more fun because you can apply these different things, right, in different case studies and things that other cultures believe, just so that we're kind of aware. Because I think a lot of times we don't know. And if, you'd have to take a class every single week on cultural sensitivity, right? To figure out what every culture believes in every single thing in healthcare, right? So the best we can do as nurses is be familiar with as much as we can, right? And look at that. All right, let's take a look at this little PowerPoint that Professor McBride created. And it's on there as a resource. I'm just going to highlight some stuff on there. I want you guys to remember. And then we're going to have, this was all chapter 1 and 2, right? Because 1 was like about the history and maternity and all that. And then 2 is really family and culture. And 3 is an anatomy really chapter. And so we're going to have to know the terms for all this stuff, that all female organs, because in pregnancy, you have to be sensitive to know when they're having a complaint about X, Y, and Z, this is what's happening during pregnancy, right? Doesn't that make sense? So we're going to do a little worksheet. We'll do it together, or you'll do it in groups. I don't know. All right. So anyway, let's look at the PowerPoint so I can try to stop talking a little bit, because you guys don't want to hear me talk all the nonsense. But I'm just trying to get the first week of class is always also, it's kind of hard because there's like so much content to cover, and we have a quiz next week. And so I want to get through all the content with you guys and then have you guys apply a little bit. Let's give it a little break. Let's do this. Instead of doing the PowerPoint, let's do the case studies. Okay. We're going to do the case studies. That'll give you a little break from hearing me jabber on and on. So I'm going to break you up again. It's going to come by email. Let me see, how many did I do? Right, so there's one case study on Hispanic and Latina. There's one on Somali, right? Somali, Africa. There's one on Chinese Americans. And there's one on American Indian. Okay, so there's questions at the bottom. That's what you guys are gonna work on. It says nursing interventions. I want you guys to come up with 3 to 4 interventions for these patients. And I also want you to answer the questions at the bottom. Okay, so it'll be a Word document. Again, you can type on there if you want, and we'll go through the case studies. I'm gonna give you maybe, what do you want, 15 minutes to do the case studies? You're only gonna do one case study. So there's 4 case studies. I'll switch you into 4 groups. Whatever your group number is your case study. Okay, group 1 has Hispanic. Group 2 has Chinese, Somali. Group 3 has Native American. Group 4 has Chinese American. Okay, so let's do this. Come in by email right now again. The reason I don't provide you with this stuff before class is because I like you to be actively engaged. So if I don't like to give it to you guys beforehand, because then you may just sit in class and be bored. All right, so here it comes to you. So there should be 4 interventions for each case study that you do. And then there's 3 questions that I want you guys to think about as you're doing some work on the case studies together, okay? And this will help us with multicultural ideas, like what do different cultures believe? It's very interesting to think about because we encounter in a hospital, you come encounter with all different cultures and relationships and families and all that, right? So you never know what you're getting. So that's why I like to do that. And when you're thinking about it, I want you to think about your clinicals. And you guys haven't started clinicals yet, right? Or did you? In OB, did you do clinicals? Not yet. Right. Well, when you do them, I want you to think about the different cultures you see. Right. So here's your case study, and it's coming from me. Oopsie. And sent. All right. So here we go. And we're going into groups again. Okay. But it'd be random. So it'd be new people this time. All right. Here we go, guys.
Ooh, not the chair empty. Where you at, Miss Jennifer?
I'm here, if it's me.
Like, not the chair empty. Hold on now.
All right, we all did our case studies. You guys did well. Just to summarize, I want to tell you something. All of these patients had something cultural. So we had our Hispanic Latina pregnancy, which she had a strong family role in decision making. So we had to be very sensitive to that. Preference for female providers. What were some techniques we talked about, not just in this group, but in all the groups about what if you have a gender provider, a gender preference, sorry. What can you do?
Seeing if you can switch that provider to the preference that they want.
Good. And how can we do that if we're working in labor and delivery? Desiree had some good ideas. I remember. I don't mean to call you out, but I remember your ideas were pretty good. What were some of those?
To have either a nurse that's a female with her, just if she feels comfortable. Obviously keeping her husband there with her, in our case, was to keep her husband there with her because that was the male that she felt comfortable with.
Good.
If there's
And
any
if
residents around that are female that can
Yep.
jump in, or male, depending on what their preference is.
Good. And that's really important, that to use all the resources you can. You can't say to a patient if they come in labor, I can find you a male doctor if that's what they want, right? I mean, they have to go to whoever cared for them. But if they're in a clinic setting, we talked about this a little bit, and you'll be familiar with this when you see labor and delivery or you do your clinicals. When do you guys start clinicals, by the way?
I was
Crazy.
supposed to start this week, but
This week or next week? Okay, so I'll be really curious what you guys think when you do the clinicals. My clinical in labor and delivery is the reason I was a labor and delivery nurse. So I'd be curious how you guys think of it. But anyway, you'll see in a setting where you have residents, like there's a lot of providers that can all work with the same group of patients, then you're going to have more access to that. You also want to educate a person when you prenatally, if they have a gender preference, to go to a provider that's that. Right? If they prefer women, then go to a women practice. They prefer men, go to a male practice. Right? All right, good. With our Chinese American pregnancy, she was well into the herbal supplements, and she was gonna limit physical activity postpartum, and she was gonna believe that hot and cold affects her health. So we talked a lot about educating on nutrition, right? And respecting that, but she also was gonna go in confinement for 30 days. So she wouldn't be exercising. She'd be locked up. And someone said that was another culture believes in that as well. So good to think about there. We had our Native American pregnancy, and she was a young thing. Oh no, that was our refugee. Sorry. She was first baby, but she did traditional practices. We talked about herbal and tribal traditions, what could happen there. And then we had our refugee that was coming here just 6 months ago. So what kind of things do we think of with refugees? That they may not have had health care, that they may not have insurance, all that kind of stuff, right? And then that was just a good cultural diversity exercise for us to do. Okay, did everybody kind of get something out of that case study? The reason I give you guys case studies, and I try to do it every week, is so that you think in the mindset of a case study, because on your HESI and on your NCLEX, you were going to have next gen case studies. And so this really helps prep you guys for that, okay? On your test, I don't think so much, but it's really good practice. All right, so that was cultural family. We've covered chapter 2. What else do we have to cover this week? Ooh, anatomy and physiology. Who likes that? Anybody? Yeah, that's part of our stuff, right? So I have for you pictures. Let me open this in Word. We're going to do this together. This is a printout. You guys have this in your resources. We're going to go through it. It'll be a review. I put pictures on ours. Just to hope, but you guys have this in your resources. Oopsie daisy. Okay, you have this in your resources. It's going to be a blank sheet. You're going to be filling it in. So I want everybody to go to your resources. If you have a printer nearby, we're going to fill this out together so that we all knew our parts. What time is it? 5:20. Yeah, let's do this together. 'Cause I don't think we're gonna have time to do it separately. Does everybody see under resources, it'll say it's under announcements, then it's under big instructors weekly material, maybe. Let's see. No. No. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to find it for you so you guys can look at it. Yeah. Mhm. Let's look at our PowerPoint real quick. We'll do that before until I find what I'm looking for. All right, so we talked today about some different things. Let's look at some barriers that we come across with pregnancy. We said as a class that, there are some barriers. So let's look at some of those. Some things we come across, right? An inability to pay. It's always a problem. What if you can't get somewhere? Let's move this so you guys can see. What if you go to a hospital and they don't have OB? Well, some of the hospitals don't. Okay, so these are some things that we have. What kind of disparities do we see in healthcare? Now, this is across the board. This is not just with pregnancy. What we know is that the more educated you are, the more able you are to get healthcare. Okay. So some disparities we see. Think about it. What are some things that are going to make some people more likely to get healthcare and some people not? Think about poverty. If you don't have money, are you going to be first to running to the doctor? No, you're going to be worrying about feeding your family. Race, depending on your race. Environmental threats. What kind of environmental threats could you think about?
Like a hurricane?
Good, a hurricane. What else? What else could be happening in the environment that could be a problem? How about if gangs are around?
Yeah, I was just about to say like the neighborhood that the person lives in.
Good. Sometimes the buildings aren't particularly safe. Maybe they have lead in them. They're before 1978. These are all environmental things. What other things can happen that are environmental threats to a person? How about fires? Fire in your house creates a real problem, doesn't it? That's an environmental threat. Immigration status is a big thing going on in the world today, but it's always. If you're worrying about being here legally or illegally, it's going to be a concern for health disparities. We have educational inequalities. The lower your education, the less likely you are to see a healthcare provider. So that's something that's proven on Healthy People 2030. We take a look at the disparities among that. Social determinants of health, meaning where are they located? Think about those people that are in the middle of the farms. How's that going to impact their healthcare? They're among farm workers. What do we think?
Well, they don't have easy or quick access because they're far away. So they probably don't go as often.
But who lives in a rural community here? Anybody?
Mm-mm.
No? Nobody?
I
This is
used to
usually-
live in Virginia.
Good.
I used to
Where'd you
live in Virginia,
Mhm.
and when the farm workers out there, it was a little town called La Crosse. It was right close to South Hill, Virginia.
Hmm. How many hospitals did you have in rural America?
I'm sorry.
How many hospitals did you have in that area?
Oh, like one.
Anyone who
We
lives
had
near
one.
Cutler Bay, how many hospitals do you guys have locally?
We actually have a couple.
Yeah, you have a bunch.
There's like 3 right next to us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good. So think about if you have one hospital or you have 3, What kind of healthcare are you going to get in those that have like in a rural area? You think doctors are going to want to come and do care in a hospital that doesn't have resources? Or doesn't have anything available?
Nope.
Nope. And as a nurse, are you going to work in a hospital where you have to scrounge around and not have materials? Of course not. Who's going to pay more, do you think? The rural communities or the cities?
The
The
city.
cities.
Of course, the cities. So if you go to a big city, you're going to get paid more. So think about the disparities there. So you're not in a rural hospital, you may not get the best because the best are going to go where they can make the most money and have the most resources. So you want to think about that, okay? All right, so when we look at our social determinants of health, we're not going to talk about elderly because they are part of a concern. But all right, we also have our SBARs. Have you guys familiar with SBARs? Situation, background, assessment, and recommendation, right? This is what we look at when we are doing charting. So our situation, we present it as what's going on. So we have a 16-year-old female present to the ER with severe pelvic cramping and vaginal bleeding. Our background is here, okay, what has happened over the time. Her assessment is like her vital signs. What does she see from an assessment point of view? No urine output. Okay, so what does that tell you? No urine output.
Fluid overload, or is she dehydrated?
Yeah, either of those two. So this is what we look at. We do an ultrasound, we do an infusion, we do a CBC, do a pregnancy test, see if she's pregnant, right? And so these are how our SBARs are written, okay? So that's, you're gonna see that with OB and your charting. All right, Nurse Practice Act, I want to talk about this just a little bit. You guys haven't done clinicals yet, but know that our Nurse Practice Act is made so that it gives guidelines for what the nurse should do, okay? Why do we have a Nurse Practice Act, do you think? Why do we have a Nurse
Guidelines to
Practice
guide
Act?
practice.
Huh?
I said guidelines to guide practice and
So
make
who are
sure
we
that,
trying
you
to
know, nurses,
protect?
ourselves and the patient.
Yeah, we're really trying to protect the patient. That's really the point of a Nurse Practice Act, is to protect the patient. So we give things that we're allowed to do so that we're not hurting the patient, okay? Because we never want to do that, of course. Informed consent is going to be very important in labor and delivery. And why is that? Because look at all the things we do, right? Surgeries. Who's going to get informed consent, though?
The patient.
The provider.
Yeah, provider's always going to get the signature, not us.
I'm thinking about. Oh, you said who's going to get it? I thought you meant who's going to.
Yeah, sign it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the patient always has to sign it, right? And if they don't understand something, it is our obligation to explain it to them. But think about all these things when it's required. So it's required for surgery. So when you come into labor and delivery, you have to sign that. Why do you think you have to sign that?
If you need a C-section, a blood transfusion, epidural, anything like that.
And so there's always a chance of a surgery. There's always a chance of a blood transfusion. There's always a chance of anesthesia. HIV testing is required 2 times during pregnancy. Why do you think it's required 2 times? Why would they test twice?
To see if maybe you had caught it during pregnancy.
Yeah. Some people aren't always with the same person because they're pregnant, right? So you got to check that. You have to do it for chemotherapy, bone up, you know, all the invasive stuff. We are going to take a look at mortality rates. So I want you to look at the ages because it's very interesting to me, the ages. So maternal deaths, look at the 7 times fold with 40 and above. Okay, so under 25, you got like about 10.6 per live births, and then you get 16.6 at 25 to 39. Above 40, you're at 80%. Okay, so think about, as we have a patient approach us and they're higher than gestational age, think about it. Here is also our disparities among race. It's astonishing if you think about it. 11.8 Hispanic per 100,000. Our African American, 37.3 per 100,000, and Caucasian, 14.9. Why do you think that is? Why do you think culture or race has anything to do with it?
Pain management. Some providers may think that people of a different race are exaggerating their pain levels.
Okay, that must be something you've seen. That's legitimate. Sometimes it's that. What else do you think it is?
Maybe the care and attention is different.
The way a provider may treat someone based on the color of their skin, certainly. We're taking the sort of back to the pain conversation, taking the word of the patient as legitimate or just dismissing them, depending on the race. A provider may do that. It's significant numbers that we should think about. All right, high risk pregnancy, very important. 25% of women who give birth are obese. Why is that a high risk?
Because of things like gestational,
Diabetes.
diabetes, preeclampsia.
Okay, let's take maternity out of this. What does
The
obesity
body,
do to a patient?
the body having to work extra hard to supply the um the mother and the baby.
Yeah, think about the cardiac. When someone's obese, their heart's working harder, right? Think about that during pregnancy. How much do we need the mom's heart? A ton. All right, we look at diabetics. We'll have gestational diabetics and we have type 1 diabetics, both. Adolescents, why do you think adolescents are at high risk? What puts an adolescent at high risk? Anybody have a teenager in here? You guys all look young, so maybe not, but anybody have a teenager?
I do.
Somebody said,
Their body may not be ready for it.
Okay. What else do we know about teenagers? If you're a mom of a teenager, you know this. Right?
They don't listen. So anything that needs to be done as far as like prenatal or anything like that, I'm not going to take it.
Yeah, they know better than anybody, right? We know that. If you have a teenager in your house, you know that. I have a teenager in my house, I can speak to that. They know more than you. Oh, what do you know? You're too old. You don't know anything, right? Think about that prenatally. So when the doctor says you have to come, why do I have to come? I'm fine. I'm pregnant. What's the big deal, right? They take risks. They take a lot more risks than grown adults, right? Think about what do we see a trend in happening among adolescents in the world today? Does anyone know?
Wearing those hoodies. Those hoodies and those Crocs.
They do. They look like they've just rolled out of bed, half of them, true. But what else are they doing that's really not good for their health?
Vaping.
You got it, vaping. And scary part about vaping is that you can't smell it. I mean, sometimes you can, but sometimes you can't. And now they're so clever that they figured out how to vape with marijuana. And that doesn't smell either. Because back in the day, if you smoked marijuana, you could smell it a mile away. Well, now they smoke it in these vape things, you can't even smell it. So think about all the risk activities adolescents take, how much they know about everything in the entire world. So they're going to be really high at risk. Oh, I need to use protection because I'm pregnant. No, I'm with a new guy now. Oh, well, right? I delivered a 12-year-old. That was the youngest I ever delivered. And she didn't know she could get pregnant, which why would you at 12, right? So think about that, okay? Depending on where they grow up, what their environment is, all that kind of stuff. All right, so we look at our high risk. Leading cause of mortality should not be surprising is cardiovascular. Now, we talked about family. I want to skip over that a little bit. We talked about culture. We did some case studies on it. Just remember that our values, our beliefs, our traditions, all of this is going to depend on the treatment that the patient gets, okay? All around the board. We do see some injustices that are going on with our maternal population. All right. You have a high rate of violence when someone is pregnant. Does anyone know why?
Hormonal changes.
Okay, hormonal changes. I'm sorry, hold on 1 second. Hormonal changes. So the mom or the mother might be a little more What?
She could be more
Emotional, angry,
Emotional.
You can be
emotional.
more emotional. I heard that. What else?
Irritable.
Yeah, of course. Irritable, emotional. What if she's got some pregnancy mental health concerns? Those are going to be exuberated. Why do men abuse women who are pregnant?
You're stressed.
Yeah, they may be stressed. They may not have been ready for this. What else? It's true for any time, but during pregnancy, you see a rise in partner violence. Why do you think that is? Stress. We already said the mom. What about on the dad's point of view?
Probably the pressure that maybe they're feeling now, a new baby's coming.
yeah.
Yeah, they could be feeling pressured. Think
Maybe-
about it's on this slide right here, sexual violence. Why do you think there would be why do you think there would be sexual violence when someone's pregnant?
Because maybe she wouldn't want to have sex.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe she's
She's
afraid.
uncomfortable or afraid.
Comfortable. Any of those, exactly. So think about that. You're going to see an increase in partner violence. You want to make sure that we are going to look at what kind of behaviors might we see? What are we going to see if somebody might be potentially abused? This is
no
true.
No
eye
eye
contact,
contact.
No eye contact. What else?
short responses if they respond.
Okay.
Little
else?
Withdrawal.
Withdrawn. Good. Not really sharing, feeling really violated when they're having exams, right? Or they're being touched at all. You could see sometimes you'll see violence on people if they're hit with an object, right? We also look at something human trafficking, which everybody is familiar with. What they are using human trafficking for right now is they can be pregnant through it. I'm sorry, just give me 1 second. 1 second. Sorry about that. Okay, human trafficking. What we're seeing among human traffickers nowadays is that the younger the girl, the more they like that, because then they can train them and they can be treated the way they want. They can have the girls treat them the way they want. Right. So almost like prostitution kind of. We're gonna intimate for screening for violence, we're gonna do like does he hurt you? Does he physically? This is on page 49 in your text, so I'm just going to go over it with you. Has anyone forced you to do anything that made you uncomfortable? Are you afraid? Okay, that's all from ACOG. Here's some websites to talk about it. I want you to also know if you see violence as the nurse, you're going to be aware of your own safety. You're going to contact your authorities. You're going to record if you can. Remember, witnessing domestic violence, you can't really do anything about. Would we do it after she's pregnant or before?
I didn't hear anything that you were saying.
Oh, am I muted?
You were for a little bit. That's why I had to pick the phone. I'm like, am I muted?
Oh, thanks. Pre-conceptual care, when do you get that? Pre-conceptual care. When do you think you get that? Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Don't-
when do you
don't
get
they-
Before pregnancy.
Yeah, don't they tell you to start like a year before, like 6 months before?
Yeah, like usually a year before. And what you do is you look at certain things like your genetics, like we talked about. We have any diabetes, obese, hypertension, anything like that, right? Here are some words that I want you to be familiar with. Antepartum is when you're pregnant. Intrapartum is during labor and delivery. And postpartum is after delivery. Okay. First trimester is going to be conception to week 13. Second trimester, week 13 to 26. And third is 26 to whenever you deliver. Okay. So these are important terms to know and remember. Here's our visit schedule too. Every 4 weeks up to 28 weeks, every 2 weeks to 36 weeks, and then every week till delivery. Okay. Something for that we look at is below 18, we're always worried about growth restriction because they don't eat, they're teenagers, and they don't think it's important. And above 35, we have our increased risk for Downs and other trisomies. Okay. First visit, we won't go over that. You guys kind of know what to do. But these are kind of the labs we're going to draw. Why are we drawing a lab type here?
Just in
Because
case something happens to the mother, or sometimes I think I forgot which one it is, but like if you're old and you're having a baby that's B or A or something like that, they have to be given a shot.
yeah, it's like a contraindication.
RhoGAM,
Yeah.
I think is what you're talking about. RhoGAM.
Yeah.
And so that's if the spouse or whoever the dad is positive and mom is negative, then those two blood types shouldn't what is with my computer today? Shouldn't have to get tested. We do a CBC to make sure that their hemoglobin, hematocrit, everything's good. Thyroid, why do we care about thyroid?
Because some people have PCOS.
Maybe, yeah. But this is at the first visit, so she's pregnant. Why do we care about thyroid?
I don't know. I'm trying to find this slide. I've been sitting here looking.
The release of hormones.
I'll
Or
show you where
no?
the slide is when we're done, but don't worry.
Okay.
A thyroid can alter labor and delivery. I mean, it can make you go to preterm labor if you have a low thyroid, or if you have a high thyroid, either way. So you really got to watch thyroid during pregnancy. HIV, we already talked about. And then our varicella and rubella titers. So we've had those, varicella is chickenpox, and rubella, we make sure we do genetic screenings, right? Depending on what your culture is and what your spouse's culture is. We do a urine and drug screen. Okay, to see what are we dealing with, right? And then we do a fetal Doppler if we can get it. Usually you can get it. And so we always determine our gestational age and due date with last menstrual period or ultrasound. So we usually do it from the last menstrual period, and then the ultrasound will confirm that. Okay. And so here's a little bit about the menstrual cycle. We're not going to go into that. I want you guys to focus on that in the book. And there's different phases, and this is how implantation goes. They also have some anatomy and physiology on the breast. Those are important during pregnancy because things change to them during pregnancy. All right. And we have some review questions at the bottom. All right. A woman is 6 months pregnant and she sought medical attention saying she fell down the stairs. Which scenario would cause an emergency department to suspect the woman has been a victim of intimate partner violence? In the chat, put A, B, C, or D. We got a lot of B's. Somebody had a D in there. Somebody had a B in there. I forget it. Oh no. Okay, so what could be a victim? Any injuries? So there's multiple answers here. This should have been a select all that apply, right? She has injuries on various parts of her body. They're in different stages of healing. An exam features reveals a fractured arm. Fractured arm could be fresh bruises. Could be that she fell. And that's why she has a fractured arm. But this should be a flag for us to look for some other things. She avoids making contact. She's hesitant to answer questions. And if they're having an argument that is loud and hostile, all of those answers could be a sign that that is a victim of intimate partner violence. Okay, so just be careful. There's one more review question, but we're right at the end of our class here, so I'm going to stop right there. Okay, that PowerPoint is located in Canvas under your resources. It's under, I think, Penny. Penny is one of the instructors. It's one of her PowerPoints. Okay, so you have that. All right, so we're giving you guys 15 minutes because you're going to study, you're going to read, you know, do all this stuff for 15 more minutes. Any questions about what you have to do this week? You will have a quiz next week. You do have the math assignment this week, so make sure you do that by yourself. And you should do an introduction to you this week as well. Okay.
For the introduction discussion, do we have to respond to 2 peers or is it just the initial post?
No, I think it's just the initial post.
Okay.
It's not a discussion. I will double check
Quiz
that,
next
but
week, will that be on what we covered today or what we need to be covering for prior to class next week?
Yep, it'll be both.
Oh, both. Okay, cool.
Just be prepared for any of it. There may be a math problem, 1 or 2 on there. And introduce yourself is going to be really just that, you know. You're going to introduce yourself with the class, and that's it. Like, who are you? What campus are you at? Why do you want to be a nurse? What do you hope to learn? And what questions do you have from our presentation today? Okay, but I will ask you now, any questions before we tie it up for the evening? Now we're all good. All right, guys, nice meeting you. Week 1, week 2, please watch announcements, watch your email. I will be in contact throughout the week. So please watch for that. All your resources are available for your week 1, 2, and 3, because you will have a test. We will post our exam reviews. We will have an exam review before every test. So make sure you go to them. Okay. Any other questions? All right. Good night and stay safe and healthy this week.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.